These graduation leis are currently going viral, and I can understand why. They are absolutely gorgeous. They may look like they cost me a ton of money to make, but actually it was less than $20 for all the materials for this. This is one of the funnest multimedia projects that I have created in a very long time. We are going to be using a little bit of our Cricut and cardstock with some faux flowers, some ribbon. We're going to do all the things. Again, this may look like it costs a lot of money, but it really only costs less than $20. So for today, what we are going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a showstopper graduation lei that doesn't break the bank. This is what you need for the supplies, my friend. You are going to need some faux flowers. This right here, got at Hobby Lobby. What I do suggest when we're buying flowers at Hobby Lobby is wait for them to go on sale, because silk flowers are actually kind of expensive. But when they're 50 and 60% off every other week, buy them then. What I would also suggest is buy the bouquets like this. You could do individual things like this, which I did have to do, like individual stems. Costs more money. Okay, we want to do this like the best way possible. It's to get a bouquet like this that looks already amazing. We're just going to snip them off. I'll show you how to do that. 60% off. This thing right here was $25.99, 60% off of that. Okay, then what you're going to need is some thicker silk ribbon. You're going to want thicker silk ribbon. This I just had on hand from Christmas time. You are going to need some glue, because we are going to be gluing some cardstock onto clear transparency sheets. Now, if you have the clear plastic sheets that you would use for a shaker cake topper, if you are well versed in Cricut crafting and you have clear acetate sheets for shaker cake toppers, it's all the same thing, okay? But you are just going to need a little bit of clear transparency or something clear, okay? That's what creates this like floating little look right here. If you wanted to, definitely optionals. You just want to get some embroidery floss so we can create the little tassels that go on the bottom. You don't have to have the tassels if you don't want the tassels, just saying, okay? Some wire snips would help, especially for your flowers, just so we can make them nice and flat, so they'll lay nice and flat. Hot glue. Hot glue is going to be your best friend for this project. You're going to need some glitter cardstock, and you're not going to need a whole lot, because we're only going to be doing a small little thing. And that is it, my friends. We don't need any more supplies than that. This right here is going to be so much fun to create. I can't wait to show you how to do it, because while I was scrolling social media one night and this thing kept popping up, I knew we had to create it together. But let's go. Okay, so I'm going to take this off because we need to do some measuring before we actually create anything within Cricut Design Space. But I just want to give you a final look of what we're making, because my goodness, this thing right here is gorgeous. Okay, so what I want you to do first, let me hang this up, is I want you to take your ribbon and cut it down to size. Okay, that's going to be the most helpful thing that we can do right now. All right, so I'm just going to wrap this around my neck, and I want to create the size that I am going to use. You can create this as long or as short as you want it to be. I really don't think that there is actual measurements of what we need. You are going to need a little bit of extra on the end to fold over and glue. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to create it just like this. Okay. And we're going to trim the end off. Now, if you wanted to be extra, you could just take a lighter to the end of your ribbon so it doesn't fray. When I'm done with this and we cut out the stuff on the Cricut, I am just going to fold this over and glue. So you're never actually going to see the end. So I don't really think you have to do that. But if you wanted to, you definitely could be a little extra and fold over, singe the ends of the fabric so they don't fray. Because, you know, see that right there? If you singed it, you wouldn't have that thing going on. Okay, now that we have that, all right, this is going to be our lei portion that we are going to glue all of our flowers together, all right? Then what you want to do, take all of your flowers that we have here. If you want to use glitter cardstock, or mirror cardstock or whatever, now's the time to pull it out. I have these really cool, which I actually used, I swear, I used this when I was creating my first graduation lei because I didn't know what colors I wanted to use. So all I did was I took my entire floral bouquet, I went like this with my swatch book, and I tried to figure out like what would be the best color for my flowers that I chose. I actually ended up choosing bubblegum, light pink. I think I chose light pink for my last flower set, but I feel like maybe we need like a peach. What do you think? Peach for this one? I feel like if we do peach, because I do have a lot of peachy flowers in this bouquet, I think if we did peach for glitter cardstock, I think that would definitely match. So I'm going to pull some peach glitter cardstock out of my stock. If you didn't already know, I actually own a cardstock warehouse where all of my glitter cardstock is 100% shed free. So this right here is my peach glitter cardstock, and let's just rough it up a little bit. This right here, we have zero mess on my hands. Absolutely amazing. We'll cut like butter. Zero shedding. That is like the best selling point of it all, is it zero shedding. Conveniently, I actually pulled out some peach tassel or tassel. This is embroidery floss that we're going to turn into a tassel, so I have that pulled out. This is going to match really good. Then what you're going to need is your transparency sheet. I just have this right here. If you, again, have clear acetate sheets that you use for your shaker cake toppers, it's all the same. It will all work the same. So just make sure to pull out one sheet with your glitter cardstock, okay? Now that we have all the supplies and we have our ribbon cut, now let's go over into Cricut Design Space where we do all of our design work, and it isn't a whole lot. There's two things that we have to do over there. Okay, before we get started with the actual design in Design Space, what I want to do is remind you to plug your hot glue gun in. Because this project is going to go super fast, you're going to want this heated up because, again, this project is going to go super fast. So what we're going to do is we are really only going to be playing with the text box for today's project. So all you want to do is insert a text box. So click that thing, that text box right here, a new text box is going to pop up. So I'm going to do this vertically: 2, enter or return 0, enter or return 2, return 6. So I'm going to make something that looks like this, okay? Now, if you wanted to change the font, which I strongly suggest, we don't want to stay here in the Cricut Sans because that's basic. We don't want things that look basic, right? So we are going to come over here into the text box. This is going to pop up. If you are only using the free Cricut, anything that has the A access with the number that's right here, those are all not going to be usable for you. If you wanted to toggle away from that, you can come over here into free. Also, you can do your, you can toggle over into free and then just click out of it. All of these are going to be free usable fonts that you have within Cricut Design Space. There is quite a lot of them. You shouldn't feel the need to purchase Cricut Access. I actually quit paying for Cricut Access last year because I didn't feel like there was actually a need for it. So I am going to do this font right here, which is Vilna MF. I feel like this is a really good graduation type font. Now I want my numbers to be closer together because this looks like 4 separate numbers. We want it closer together, right? So we're going to come up here into line space, and you can just push down because we want this to be closer together. So we're going to just boop, boop, boop until you get the spacing how you want it. All right. Now this right here is 3 inches in, 3 inches tall by 0.36. So this is where your ribbon is really going to come into play because we're going to put this on our neck. All right. We are going to take a fabric measuring tape. It's definitely not necessary for you to have one of these, but it does help visualize what we're doing. Okay. So at the end of this, we are going to have 2.5 inches, which is yay big, not very big, like this little thing right here. That's not very big on here. So you're going to want to try and figure out how long you want your numbers, okay? So taking a measuring tape of some sort, I love a good fabric measuring tape. I'm going to go from my end of my ribbon. I'm going to go down here. I chose a white shirt today with a white ribbon, also using a white measuring tape. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so just coming down, and I'm going to, I want my numbers to end about here. So I'm going to look at this. This is about 9.5 inches in length. So I am going to come up here to my height, and I'm going to do 9.5. I actually want this to be a little bit smaller because I'm going to do an offset. We'll explain that in a second, but just for right now, we're going to leave it like that. Now, when I made this bigger, I've realized I actually want my numbers to be tighter, okay? So I am just going to make my numbers tighter, and I like this. All right, now before we resize this, because we are going to have to resize this after we get our little shapies put in there and all this stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an offset, because this right here, you need, all of these numbers are not touching. If we were to cut these out, where in the world are you going to glue them? We need an offset. Okay, so what I'm going to do is clicking on this, I'm going to change this over into a different color just so you can see what you're getting ready to do. I would strongly suggest doing that. So changing it over to pink, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here into offset. Now this blue line that's around your numbers, if you have some inside ones, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We can get rid of that. But we're only worried about the blue ones. You can make this as wide as you want it to be. You can make this as small as you want it to be. However, what you don't want to do is make it so small that your blue line still does not touch in certain areas, okay? Because we need this to like hang and glue, and something needs to be glued on here. So I do want you to make it, I honestly wouldn't suggest you doing something like this because it's going to look really weird. So I am going to do something that looks like this, where the full blue line is all connected throughout. The 2 and the 6, there's no line in between, right? There's no lines in between that, okay? This is how I like it, all right? Now what you want to do, make sure that you're welding this, and you're just going to press apply. Now, I did say if you wanted to get rid of these inner circle things, you totally can by coming over here to contour, and you could hide all contours, and that's going to get rid of the insides of that. However, I'm not going to. I feel like this is going to look super cute with just a little bit of stuff showing through. To be honest with you, you probably won't even notice because it's clear anyways, but I'm going to keep it like this, okay? Now what I want you to do is this right here, we want it to be 9.5 inches, right? We want my hanger things to be 9. If you want it to be 6, then do 6. If you want it to be like 12, do 12, okay? But I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to make this 9.5. 9.5. Awesome. Okay. Now we're going to take this pink thing and we're going to drag it over here to the left because we're no longer going to use this. However, where are we going to hang this, right? Just like where we were going to cut the pink things, like how are you going to glue them? Where are they going to glue to, right? We need to figure out how in the world are we going to hang the clear sheet to this ribbon. We're not gluing the ribbon to the acetate, okay? We have to figure out how to glue this all together so it works. You need some hanging, all right? So we are going to come over into shape. So I'm going to come over here into a shape, and I'm going to insert a circle. Now, I want these circles to be big enough that we are not going to be forcing this into, so this kind of depends on how big your ribbon is I want this to slide into my plastic. We're going to make a little loop, a little hole. I want this to slide into my plastic and not be super hard that it rips the plastic, but I also don't want it to be too big where it looks funny with this like weird ring, okay? So I am going to make this the same width as my shadow, whatever size that is, 1.6 inches. Let's see here, 1.6, so it's going to be about 1.5 inches. I feel like that's a decent sized hole. All right, I am going to overlap. So let me take this. I'm going to change this over just to pink, just so we can see what you're doing. You want to make sure that you're overlapping your two. Now, here is the deal. If you wanted to make The tassels at the end, just like my last one that I had, you had the tassels on the end. You're going to want to do the same thing at the bottom, but we're skipping a step, okay? So if you do not want any tassels, if you want the very end of your lei to just be the numbers and you want nothing else underneath it, then do not do this on the bottom, okay? We're only going to do it for the top. But what we want to do is we want to create an inset. Just like the offset that we created, we want to go the other direction. So I'm going to come up here to offset, make sure that you have your circle selected. And instead of going to the right, which is what we did earlier, we're going to go to the left. And do you see how now that blue line is going into your pink circle? That's perfect, okay? I'm just going to make this just a little bit smaller. You want it, again, this kind of goes back to like your preference, but I don't want you to be forcing this into your piece of plastic and then ripping your plastic because it's like too small of a hole, but you definitely need it large enough to where it's not going to be so breakable and fragile, if that makes sense, okay? So no measurements, we're just going to eyeball this. I know that's super helpful, but we're just eyeballing it. I'm going to make it just like this. Now what you're going to do is press apply. Okay, so you have these two circles right here, right? We are going to select both circles. We're going to come down here to slice. Awesome. Then what I want you to do is, it looks like nothing had happened, but I want you to do is select the black circle, delete it. Select the pink circle and delete that too. Now you're left with something that looks like this, which looks wonderful, by the way. Okay, again, if you were doing the tassels at the very end like I did, what I need you to do is take this circle and copy and paste, Command C, Command V, and we are going to drag this to the bottom and we are going to make sure it's overlapping. If there's no overlapping, we have a problem. All right, just like with what we did here, we have to make sure everything's overlapping. Now again, if you are not doing tassels, if you do not want anything hanging below your lettering. And to be honest with you, I feel like adding the tassels on the bottom helps weigh this down so it's not going to free, because the cardstock and the plastic is super lightweight that you may, have some flowing in the wind. Having those tassels kind of feels like a weight on the bottom of this, so it pulls and hugs everything nicely so everyone can see what they have on their chest, okay? So then once you have everything overlapping, if you need to, you can come over here and do a line and center horizontally just to make sure everything's nicely aligned in the center. Once you have all three things all three things overlapping and selected, what you want to do is come over here to combine and then unite. And now, unfortunately, the way that I've created this is that's actually 12.5 inches tall, and my piece of transparency is only 11 inches tall. So we have to resize this. We got to resize this so that I can cut this, right? So I'm going to take my pink 2026 and I'm just going to drag this to the top. Make sure we have this nice and centered in there. I'm going to select both of these pieces and I'm going to make this 10.75. Just under 11 inches. Okay, that is a really smart troubleshooting hack, because the last thing you want to do is now be like, poop, I don't have a piece of paper that's large enough. Just resize your lei numbers to whatever material that you have, okay? And then last and final thing is I am just going to take, the reason why I'm going to do this, and I'll just show you, is we'll just go into don't save, and I'm just going to come over here. The reason why I'm going to do this is because do you see how we have this and it's like all in a line and it looks fabulous, but it's actually, you kind of like waste more material that way, versus if you were to just take your font, come up here to advanced and then ungroup to letters. Now, when we go into here to make, see how now it's going to be all like pushed together? Okay, that's what I want to do. So to save on material, because I love saving on material. Look, I own the Cardstock Warehouse. I don't want you to purchase a bunch of cardstock that you don't need. We can use scraps, we can use smaller materials. We do not need to waste any materials. And that's coming from the owner of the cardstock shop, okay? So you're gonna want 2 of these, okay? We did not make 2 copies of these, but Cricut has this really cool thing coming up here in the project copies. We need 2 copies. We were only set to 1. Let's make 2. and press apply. And now we have 2 of these, 1 for each side, and 2 of these. You also, if you wanted to, you could do like 2026 and then name Ashley on the other side, like if you want to, or you could just be matchy-matchy, just doing the same thing on both sides. I mean, the world is your oyster, and your creativity, it goes beyond mine. I'm not that creative. I don't think so. But okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 mats. We're going to cut some clear transparency, and then we're going to cut some glitter cardstock. Well, I'm going to cut glitter cardstock. If you want to do this in metallic or plain cardstock, do whatever you want. Okay. All right. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to press continue. And then we're going to select the material for the clear transparency. I'm using the Cricut Maker 4. She has been doing pretty good for me. I'm actually really surprised. But I'm just going to do medium cardstock, and instead of default mode, I am going to do more. I am cutting plastic. Plastic is harder to cut than glitter cardstock. Although glitter cardstock is thicker, plastic is a little bit more of an she's a little bit more high maintenance than my glitter cardstock, but it's totally doable. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is we are now my machine is connected via Bluetooth, which is wonderful. So using the mat, what did I just lose? Something just fell, and clear transparency. By the way, these things right here will hurt if you fall. They will, if you have slippy floors like me and you step on one of these, good luck. It hurts when you go down. Okay, so I'm going to put this onto, I'm just going to be using a light grip mat. We're only doing like 2 cuts, so you don't really have to go crazy. But I'm just going to do a light grip mat. My light grip mat is on its last life, and it is kind of not as sticky, so I used a brayer just to hold it down. But we are going to insert this into the Cricut, and then it's going to do all of its jazz that it does. It sucks the mat in, making sure the mat's long enough. That process is not like the funnest process. I feel like it's like so not efficient, but we're going to press the play button and we're going to let this do its cut. Now make sure if you're using a not so sticky mat as me, make sure that the material actually sticks to the mat when it's cutting. All right, before you eject this out of the mat, make sure that it actually cut all the way. So I'm going to be able to like weed this perfectly, and it's my cutouts are right there, so I'm just going to eject this. And to be honest with you, I know I said that I made this 10.75, but I should have done it smaller because it's cut off, but it's fine because I'm going to cover it up with a tassel. Do you see that where it's like, oh well, it'll be all right, but like I should have made this smaller. Okay, we're going to take this off. And then don't lose your, because these are clear, you want to make sure that we don't lose them. So make sure you keep them in a safe spot. And then I need to take out all the pieces of plastic. All right, we are going to insert the peach light orange cardstock into, oh, nope, we can't do that. We have to go to the computer. We're going to do medium cardstock. Default setting for medium cardstock is fine for my glitter cardstock. And that's going to measure. All right, we're going to press play. Okay. Double checking to make sure it cut all good, and it did. So then you can just eject. Now, I would like to know, because I did say that a couple times and then didn't tell you what I would do if it didn't. So before I ejected it, you know how I cut it? I checked to see if it cut. If it hadn't, instead of pressing eject, I would press the play button again. It sucks the mat back in and recuts it without having to like mess up on your cut alignments, because trying to recut this, if I were to put this back in, I'm probably not going to put it back in the perfect spot that it once was. And so again, if it doesn't cut well, instead of ejecting, press the play button and it will redo that cut that you just got done cutting. But I didn't have any issues. So look at that. Perfect. Okay, this spatula stinks, but I'm just going to roll these off. All right, here is those. I'm going to set that on my Cricut for right now. I'm going to put away my mat. Let me just pack this up. Oop, hold on. Okay, now that we are done, we are going to press done on our computer, and then you can turn off Cricut. And then what we want to do now is start assembling our lei. Let me just clean up my desk a little bit. Now what we want to do is taking out all of our flowers. You can take off your ribbon now, okay? We're going to start with, I said now let's take our flowers, and actually what we need to do is we need to start with the ribbon first. We're going to lay this flat. There is not two sides to my silk ribbon. Some ribbons, depending on your choice, will have two sides. You want to make sure whatever side that you want visible, it shouldn't be as visible because we're going to fill it up with flowers, but just in case you want that visible side to be the side that you're going to glue on. So I'm just going to take this off like this. Make sure your ribbon is not twisted because that'll make for a bad lei. But I'm going to lay these down and make sure that they are even, okay? There's no twisting. You're not going to be able to see it, but there's no twisting here at the very bottom. Hair up project. All right, first thing that we are going to do is we are going to take our number cutouts, and I am going to start with one, so I'm just going to drag this over before it slides on me. I'm going to use this right here is a magnetic board, and I'm just going to pin these to the bottom so they don't, because this right here is hanging off the other edge of my table, and I don't want the weight of that to like drag it down, okay? So I'm just going to make this shorter. Bloop, bloop. Awesome. Just like that. Okay, what you're going to do is make sure that there's no kink in your lei. Is I'm going to put this through the front, making sure that it's going to be hard, but this right here is your clear thing. I'm going to put this through the front, and then it's going to go around the back, and I'm going to loop it. So I'm going to turn this around just so you can see. I'm going to loop this through. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to glue the back of the ribbon, or the end of the ribbon, to the back of the ribbon. Did that make sense? Try not to be confused here. For you now, all right? And I am going to add a bead of glue to the back of this. And then I'm going to lay my ribbon down onto that bead of glue. My glue gun is an adjustable temperature glue gun, which is absolutely amazing because I have it adjusted down to where my glue is going to be melted, but it ain't never going to give me a blister. Praise the Lord, because burning yourself with hot glue is the pits, okay? So your back is not going to look cute, but I'm okay with that. I feel like that's okay. Mind you, I'm not going to get a blister, but it's still hot. Like, I don't suggest touching it, but it's not going to give me a blister. Look, I got all this glue and I'm not screaming. Most people would be. Adjustable heat temps are amazing, okay? Okay, I'm stuck. One thing I can't stand is the string that the hot glue gives you. Okay, doing the same thing with the other side. All right, we are going to go through the front, making sure that your numbers are facing you like they're legible, okay? You're going to go through the front, onto the back, flip over your ribbon so we can glue this to the back side. I'm just going to add a bead of glue to the back of my ribbon, and then we're going to add, come on. This is the hardest part, to be honest with you, trying to make sure that you don't ruin your ribbon, rip your plastic, blah, 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 but it'll be okay. I've made these multiple times, not had any issues. You just have to know how to handle it. Okay, making sure that you get all the frays because you don't want it to start fraying and looking weird on the backside. You won't be able to see it, but just in case it starts fraying everywhere. All right, now that that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this back over. both of which should flow and move into your little holes, just like that. Now, if your ends don't look pretty, like mine don't look pretty, it's okay because we're going to hide them with the flowers that you've chosen, all right? So you could do one or two things. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and glue your pieces of cardstock onto your clear transparencies, clear acetate now, or you can wait. I am going to do them now just because that'll just be one step that I, like by the time you're done, I just want to be done. And I feel like this is like one more step, right? So I'm just going to use hot glue to glue on the back of my cardstock. If you wanted to use cardstock glue, you could use cardstock glue or whatever your favorite glue is to glue paper to plastic. That is the most important thing, is you want to make sure that you have a good glue that glues paper to plastic really well. So plastic is traditionally really hard to glue together. I feel like I have really good success with hot glue, or at least my hot glue that I have. Silicone glue does really well with gluing paper to plastic, depending on your cardstock glue. Now, my cardstock glue is really good. However, I say that, and then I'm going to tell you that I'm fairly certain the guy that I used to buy my cardstock glue from is going out of business because he hasn't been in stock with any glue in a very long time. I've asked him, he said no, but like he don't have any cardstock, so, or he doesn't have any glue in his shop, and he hasn't for like, it's been like a year and a half since he's been stocked at all. So like, tell me you're not going out of business without telling me. I'll go first. You have been out for a long time. Just using some hot glue, not a whole lot, because you don't want the glue to like spill out, because you don't want any visible glue marks. The whole point about making items look professional really does start with like how much glue you use. If there's visible glue anywhere, like the strings of hot glue, if you can see that, your project automatically just isn't going to look professional. So I like using the least amount of glue as possible, just so you don't have any overflow issues. Now that we have that, this is coming together so quick and so easy, right? We're almost done. And the rest of the part is actually a lot of fun, okay? So we have these right here. They look amazing. We are going to make the tassels later. I am going to drag this down and just make this to where it hangs off the bottom, just like that. Now I'm going to put my little magnet here at the very top just so, it can hang. The previous lei that I did, you can see that I have a big gap of flowers that aren't at the very neck. The reason for that is I actually ran out of flowers. So I feel like this is okay, because if you had like one of those, when you graduate and you have that gown on, it has like a little collar, and that collar generally comes over like this. And so like I feel like I ended this in a spot to where that collar of your gown would cover that. But if you wanted to go all the way around, you totally could. However, I would suggest starting at the bottom where it connects. So down here at this part, I would suggest going here and working our way up in an even fashion, because it would best explain that this would be like, oh, the color can cover it, versus, like starting here and working your way down and then like not having flowers right here, because like, how are you going to explain that you just ran out of flowers? Then you'd have to run back to the store to get more flowers, and who wants to do that? So I would start here, work our way up. We are going to take some florals. I did save some greenery from my previous florals that I was using, because maybe I'd use them again. I'm not sure. You can see that I used greenery and also flowers. You could do just flowers if you want. The ones that I've seen all over social medias, they do both. Okay, florals and greenery, or just florals. Now, I want you to take not these ones, wire snips. Okay. When I cut my flowers, I want to cut them as close to the base of the flower as possible. So I'm going to just trim, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, all right. See how this right here is like as flat as possible? That's what you want, okay? Because you don't want these things to stick out like a sore thumb. So I am going to just take this. We're going to add a bead of hot glue on the back of your flower, just like that. And I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to work my way up. Now I do not have, there's not a rhyme or a reason or anything. I just started from the bottom, worked my way up. Sometimes I dry fit them, like I'll just grab, I don't want things to be like the same on both sides. So I'm going to use this white, big old white flower. Again, really close to the base of that flower. And I am going to do a bead of hot glue. For this, I use a significant amount of hot glue because it has to, some of these flowers are really big. So I want to make sure that it's going to be stuck on my ribbon without falling off. That's quite important for me. So we have 2 flowers. I don't want them to be all matchy-matchy. I don't want it to be mirror or anything else like that. So I have my 2 flowers. Now what you can do is you can take some of your greenery. And we can start laying them in. Just like this. Notice I didn't glue anything, okay? Let's see. We got some of this. I want these purple flowers next, I think, in here. So I want some smaller purple flowers. Let me do this one. Let's do some balls. Okay, so I'm going to do these balls, but I want them to sit kind of like this. So I have a really long stem. That's okay. I need more glue because once you get it glued down, you can come back in and trim up the ends of the stems that hang out over the sides. But I want to put this like right here. I think that's good. Then I'm going to put a purple flower. Right here. And look, this is just coming together so quick and so easy. And the great part about this, I didn't even do the math, but let's see. This was $25.99. And it was 60% off for this. So it was $10 for this entire bouquet. I'm probably going to have enough flowers to do more than just this one. So while these look like they cost a ton of money, in reality, they really didn't cost that much. Now, this one that I have around my neck, like I said earlier, I bought like individual stems. This one cost me a lot more than $20. Yeah, maybe it was like right at 20, but it still was like, I was like, ooh, I'm going to need to figure out how to make this a little bit cheaper and more affordable. And I think by doing the whole bouquet, plus like it took me forever when I was in Hobby Lobby, like finding my flowers, it took me forever to pick them because I had to like walk back and forth to different places to like pick the flowers that I wanted. This is like a curated bouquet of flowers. So it was like super easy to just be like, boom, this will work, Okay, I do want to end this pretty even on both sides. I feel like I'm pretty close to being done. So I am just going to add in one more piece of flour to this side over here just to make sure that it's even Stevens on both sides because I don't want it to look uneven when someone's wearing this. Okay, we've pretty much ended this pretty even throughout. I think that this looks really amazing. What do you think? Do you like this or no? I bet you do. I bet you do. And I bet yours looks amazing as well. Okay, we are going to just scoot this up a little bit because now we need to work on the tassels, okay? All right. Taking one of these, this is not hard. If you've made a tassel before, I'm sure you probably have made it better than me because I'm not that great at it, but it ends up being really cool. I use one full embroidery floss per tassel. You can make them as full as you want or as not as full as you want, but I think that the ones that look super full look the best. So I pretty much use a whole thing of embroidery floss for one tassel. All you do is you take something hard. I use a Cricut, whatever this is. I don't know what this is called, but this is how long I want my tassel to be. The greatest part about making tassels is you can make them as long or as short or as full or as thin as you want that to be. Just like what we did earlier, the world is your oyster. So I just take my end, put it here, whatever end that you put this on, you want to make sure and remember where you put it, because otherwise that you're going to cut it off and eventually. So I'm just going to hold my end and I'm going to wrap it around. I wrap it around real tight. I used to have this really cool thing that was like a tassel length maker thing. It is completely unnecessary. You do not need it. But if you wanted it, you can buy one. But I think doing something like this is perfectly fine. Now, the one thing that I don't like about embroidery floss is this dang thing. It always just gets tied up. It's so annoying. Like, why do we gotta get all tangled up this quick? All right, I have it pretty much untangled, so I'm just going to keep on keeping on. I'm going to get pretty much to the very end of this. You want to keep some left over. You don't want to use up all of your string unless you have a third one that you can use for the leftovers. Okay, we're pretty full. All right, we're going to get to the very end. This right here was the hidden end at the very top. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off the end just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of my string and I am going to, where your ends are, you want to make sure that both your ends are at the same end. So it's at the very top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my leftover string and I'm going to wrap this around. So just so you can see, my ends are up here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it underneath all of my string. Okay, just like this. My other end is right here. So now I'm going to pull this tight, okay? This end I want to avoid that stupid knot that I have in my string. Now that I have it pulled through, I am going to tie this tight. And this is at the end that does not have my two loose ends, okay? Okay, tie that tight. Woohoo! Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it off my little Cricut thing and I'm going to cut the ends just like that. Look it, we made our first tassel. Okay, now most tassels have like a thing that's at the top that like ties it together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut my string down just like that. Okay. I'm going to take my tassel, my rest of my string, and I am going to wrap it around the very top or towards the top. Okay, I'm going to do it towards the top and we're going to tie it tight. And then I'm going to double knot it. And then instead of cutting it short, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them long. So they're now going to act as if they are part of the rest of my tassel. Okay. Now, if you want to make sure that everything is nice and even, blah, 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 you can trim your tassel, to look better. Mine looks fine. Okay. Now that we have that, I'm going to keep these untied. You want to make your second one. All right, 2 tassels done. We are moving and grooving and almost finished with this project. Woohoo! Okay, so at this point, all you're going to do is you are going to take your tassel just like this, and we're going to tie it on. I know you probably didn't need me to tell you that that's what we were going to do, but that's what we're going to do. Take our 2 ends. If you want, you can take your 2 ends, tie them together like this, and then loop it through your hole, and then like this, boop, like that, and then we can cut our tail ends off. These are about the same length. So now if you want to, what you can do is you can take, because they kind of look a little silly, just like free floating there. So then what I did for my last one is I took a little bit of flowers or greenery or whatever that you have left over. And I'm going to glue one to the bottom just onto the plastic. Now this one's going to be harder to see when you do this because it's clear. Wow, look at that. All right, so we have our things done, filled in, and this is the final project. Minus that extra string. And what do you think? Does it look good? I think this turned out absolutely phenomenal, and the options and possibilities are absolutely endless because you can create this with any flowers that you want, any cardstock colors that you want, any tassels you want, any wording, anything. Like, the possibilities are really endless, and you can definitely customize to fit your graduation needs. But like, oh my gosh, I mean, I'm not graduating anytime soon. Way past that, but like, wouldn't this look so cute on your graduates? All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.